Hey guys! Now before I tell you about the JK redemption arc that is currently happening, I should acknowledge my new little cozy corner that I am in. Now this is just a taste. What you're seeing is just a taste of my new studio that my team and I have been dreaming up over the past several months at this point. So for right now, you will find me here instead on one of my latest Facebook Marketplace purchases. This was a good find. I'm really proud of this one. The other piece of big news that I want to tell you guys about is that on Friday, we posted a completely new piece of content on this channel. And that project about Western North Carolina has been very close to my heart. And I am so glad that you guys have finally been able to see that style of content. It is frankly my favorite style to make. So I will be planning on doing more of that in the near future. Now, because of that, I am going to be a bit busier. I'm going to be on the road a bit more. And so we're going to scale back the amount of times that we're posting comment section a week. So obviously you guys know we post every day of the week normally, but we're going to be scaling back to only posting Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. That will just give me and my team a bit more time to work on this new project that I will be sharing more about over the coming weeks. I'm so excited to bring you guys into that. So that is all the nuggets of new news for right now. I just want to say I'm so grateful for you guys. And I'm also grateful to Emma Watson for finally thawing her icy, cold heart against J.K. Rowling. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, let's dive in, okay? I have my laptop here today. This is fun. We're changing things up a bit today, guys. So here's a recent clip from an interview with Emma Watson and Jay Shetty, and she was talking about J.K. And it was a very interesting commentary about her. So we're going to watch it and let's unpack it a bit.
It's something you spoke about earlier as to being such a big part of your life, an important part of your life. But recently, there's been so many conversations and comments directly from J.K. Rowling, whether it's her saying she'd never forgive you for your views, or the fact that when she was asked what ruins the movies for her, she named yourself and some of your co-stars. And I imagine that's an extremely difficult thing when you've been a part of someone's world, when you've felt connected to their work, and then for it now to kind of be a full 180, and for someone to publicly say these things that can be quite extremely hurtful, actually. How do you think about that?
So that's how Jay sets up the question there, is that JK has said hurtful things about Emma, even though Emma has said so many hurtful things about JK to start this whole thing off. That's why I even find that kind of setup question interesting, because Emma has publicly laughed at JK for years as she has received death threats and just insane levels of attack because of her views that, again, are not even that radical. We'll get into her views in a second, but she hasn't even said anything crazy, and yet JK is the one getting all of the hate. So Emma's not the one getting hate here. So it's sort of a weird question, but okay, let's see how she answers it.
Having had that experience and holding the love and support and views that I have mean that I can't and don't treasure Joe and the person that I had personal experiences with. I will never believe that one negates the other, and that my experience of that person I don't get to keep and cherish. To come back to our earlier thing, I just don't think these things are either or.
If you could create one law that everyone in the world had to follow, what would it be?
One would be around the importance of telling the truth, or speaking your truth, or just because I feel like so much chaos is caused by people not being sure whether or not they should, or it's a good idea to, or I think that would be a pretty amazing one.
I mean, I just hear that. I'm like, Emma, spare me talking about truth when you are the one unafraid to say it and JK is the one actually saying it. Now, let's be honest. Speaking about truth, did you know that 90% of Americans are fiber deficient? That is where Balance of Nature comes in. Their fruit supplement is packed with mango, pineapple, wild blueberries, banana, and more, and it tastes amazing mixed into your morning smoothies. And yogurt, and oatmeal. They also have the veggie supplement that has powerhouse ingredients like kale, spinach, broccoli, and even mushrooms. And they have their fiber and spice blend that combines 12 spices with 4 whole fibers. I personally love taking my Balance of Nature every single morning, making sure that I'm getting all those good nutrients, frankly getting that fiber, because I know, based on my diet, that I was definitely one of the ones that used to be a little bit deficient in the fiber category, but not anymore thanks to Balance of Nature. Sometimes it's the simplest, most convenient solutions that actually make the biggest difference in how you feel every single day. So if you guys want to try Balance of Nature for yourself, all you have to do is go to balanceofnature.com and use promo code Conrad for 35% of your first order as a preferred customer, plus you'll get a free bottle of that fiber and spice. That's balanceofnature.com, promo code Conrad today. Okay, that's the truth. You need good, healthy nutrients in your body. Let's go back to Emma talking about truth and specifically JK.
It's my deepest wish that I hope people who don't agree with my opinion will love me, and I hope I can keep loving people who I don't necessarily share the same opinion with.
But she doesn't. She's like publicly shamed JK for years. So this attitude, which I respect here, like this is the way that one would talk about someone they love who maybe they now disagree with on things, but this is not how she's treated JK up until this point, which is why everyone's like, wow, she's kind of being nicer here, but it's still...
That's a very, very important way for me that I need to be able to move through life. I just really, to circle back around, I really do believe in having conversations, and that those are really important, and that I don't know, I guess where I've landed is it's not so much what we say or what we believe, but very often how we say it that's really important, and that's really frustrating and not what you want to hear when you're really angry and upset with someone. But I don't know, I just see this world right now where we seem to be giving permission for this kind of like throwing out of people, or that people are disposable. And I just think I will always think that's wrong.
And again, I hear this through the lens of her having cast JK aside for years within this cancel culture that we're living in. And now all of a sudden she's saying, well, the casting out of people, that's what was happening to JK. Where were you? You were one of the ones throwing the stones. It's a fascinating backpedaling, but also this weird fence sitting where she's not really saying that she loves JK, but she's not saying that she doesn't love her, and that she's trying to believe that two things can be true. Like, it's just not a strong stance, but it's something in what I would deem is sort of the right direction. I think she's realized that the cancel culture that she was so quick to jump into and be so involved in is dissipating, and the hatred towards JK and frankly her very normal views are becoming less and less hated. And so she's kind of realizing, okay, I have to come a little bit back because I shouldn't be casting JK out because the rest of society is starting to welcome JK more and more. Now, naturally, though, because she's sort of doing this fence sitting of sorts, the people who want her to just absolutely yell at JK, hate her, publicly just admonish her, and she didn't do that, they were mad. So I saw a lot of comments like this. People saying, neutrality in the face of oppression isn't compassion, it is siding with the oppressor. Saying you can still love Rowling while she openly attacks trans people just shows you are insulated from the damage she causes. That's not grace, it is privilege. But again, I want to pause here and just, what is JK saying? What are her beliefs that are so horrific? Let's read them. There's one other tweet that did a good job of actually just summarizing what those crazy beliefs are. Rowling's beliefs are that sex is real, that male violence is a problem, that women should be able to talk about themselves in clear language, and that no woman should lose her job for expressing such opinions. No critics have convincingly explained why believing these things hurts trans people. Correct. JK is an uber feminist. She also loves the LGB community, and has for a very long time. She just takes issue with this trans debate as it has continued to devour women's rights. That's all. That's all. Another commenter said, Emma Watson, showing more maturity than most online debates, you can disagree without erasing the good memories or respect. A lesson a lot of people should use right now. Again, I like her overall sentiment, but after years of it being so opposite from what she's expressing here, JK, actually, just this morning, finally responded to this. Because for many years, she has not publicly talked about this, but now that Emma has, JK has also. So JK specifically, though, responded to this clip. So I'm going to play this clip first and then read JK's response.
I'd like to think so. And I think there are some other positive signs, too, that things are shifting. When you see the media starting to say trans women are men, then I think we really are winning. But Emma Watson was careful, wasn't she, not to go too far. I think what she's going to find now is you can't sit on the fence. She was a real cheerleader for Mermaids, the charity, and for transitioning children and for people knowing who they are.
Emma has been very vocal, especially with transitioning kids. I mean, she's on that side of things, like very far over. So that's why this discussion, especially with what JK has been saying, because JK has been advocating for kids' safety And Emma has technically been doing the opposite of that. So that's just important to note.
It was also kind of there's that clip of her at the BAFTAs, and it was just kind of like a really snidey, there's that bit where she says, I'm here for all the witches, like, but one. Or what, yeah, it was just nasty.
Yeah.
Right when J.K. Rowling was getting a lot of rape threats, death threats.
So whether she is trying to row back from that full-hearted support for transitioning children, or whether she's just trying to get back in with J.K. Rowling in the hope of work, who knows?
Okay, so that's the video that then J.K. made this giant, almost essay response to. And this came obviously after the Emma commentary just went viral last week. Here is JK's long tweet. I'm seeing quite a bit of comment about this, so I want to make a couple of points. I'm not owed eternal agreement with any actor who once played a character I created. The idea is as ludicrous as me checking with the boss I had when I was 21 for what opinions I should hold these days. Emma Watson and her co-stars have every right to embrace gender identity ideology. Such beliefs are legally protected, and I wouldn't want to see any of those threatened with loss of work or violence or death because of them. However, Emma and Dan in particular have both made it clear over the last few years that they think our former professional association gives them a particular right, nay, obligation, to critique me and my views in public. Years after they finished acting in Potter, they continued to assume the role of de facto spokespeople for the world I created. She's just so well-spoken, just even her tweets, I mean, I'm not surprised, but she is. When you've known people since they were 10 years old, it's hard to shake a certain protectiveness. Until quite recently, I had managed to throw off the memory of children who needed to be gently coaxed through their dialogue in a big, scary film studio. For the last few years, I repeatedly declined invitations from journalists to comment on Emma specifically, most notably on the witch trials of J.K. Rowling. Ironically, I told the producers that I didn't want her to be hounded as the result of anything I said. The television presenter in that attached clip, the one we just watched, highlights Emma's all witches speech, and in truth, that was the turning point for me. But it had a postscript that hurt far more than the speech itself. This part is crazy. Emma asked someone to pass on a handwritten note from her to me, which contained the single sentence, "I'm so sorry for what you're going through." And then she puts in quotes, "She has my phone number." This was back when death, rape, and torture threats against me were at their peak, at a time when personal security measures had to be tightened considerably, and I was constantly worried for my family's safety. Emma had just publicly poured more petrol on the flames, yet thought a one-line expression of concern from her would reassure me of her fundamental sympathy and kindness. Oof. But then the oofs keep coming. Like other people who've never experienced adult life, uncushioned by wealth and fame, Emma has so little experience of real life, she's ignorant of how ignorant she is. She'll never need a homeless shelter. She's never going to be placed on a mixed-sex public hospital ward. I'd be astounded if she'd been in a high-street changing room since childhood. Her public bathroom is a single occupancy and comes with a security man standing guard outside the door. Has she had to strip off in a newly mixed-sex changing room at a council-run swimming pool? Is she ever likely to need a state-run rape crisis center that refuses to guarantee an all-female service? To find herself sharing a prison cell with a male rapist who's identified into the woman's prison? Again, it's so important to highlight these things because this is the reality of the movement, and that is what JK has been bringing to light, yet she has been getting so much pushback for doing so. These are the things that Emma never wants to touch, even though Emma is also an uber feminist, but she refuses to go here. I wasn't a multimillionaire at 14. I lived in poverty while writing the book that made Emma famous. I therefore understand from my own life experience what the trashing of women's rights in which Emma has so enthusiastically participated means to women and girls without her privileges. The greatest irony here is that had Emma not decided in her most recent interview to declare that she loves and treasures me, a change of tack I suspect she's adopted because she's noticed full-throated condemnation of me is no longer quite as fashionable as it was, I might have never been this honest. Adults can't expect to cozy up to an activist movement that regularly calls for a friend's assassination, then assert their right to the former friend's love as though the friend was in fact their mother. Emma is rightfully free to disagree with me and indeed to discuss her feelings about me in public, but I have the same right and I finally decided to exercise it. So there was that. Sorry, that was long, but I had to read it. It was too good. Now, in response to that, there was one tweet in particular that I wanted to highlight, and they said that a handwritten note reveals something central to celebrity culture. That they expect the venal lies they tell in the public to be understood as such in private, regardless of the cost that they generate for others. I mean, I think that is such a good point. I feel like this is a common thing, especially in the conservative movement. They'll say certain things in public, and then they'll actually befriend conservatives or say, actually, I agree with you guys, I just can't say it. And in this case, it's even worse because she's publicly saying the opposite of JK and then in private being like, I'm so sorry. If you're so sorry, maybe don't throw petrol on the flames or just say nothing at all if you don't want to openly support her. I mean, gosh, I can't imagine being JK and seeing that for a lot of reasons. Overall, especially as the result of the commentary that I'm seeing online as a result of these comments back and forth, It is so clear that the culture is shifting. Emma would not have said this a couple years ago, but now she's clearly starting to, I wouldn't even say backtrack, just not go as far as she was because the culture is shifting and that's no longer the cool thing to do, especially as a feminist. It's funny to me though, just in general, for the people who still hate JK, who are so appalled by everything that she says and does, who were mad that Emma wasn't harsher on JK there. As many of you know, there's a new Harry Potter series that is being created, I think via HBO. You know who's still going to watch that new series that is currently in production? All of the Potterheads. All of them. Including all of the ones that have probably hated JK for years. Because at the end of the day, whether frankly they know it or not, they don't technically disagree on these simple fundamental truths that JK just repeatedly points out. And if I'm right, and the new Potter series just absolutely crushes, it is proof once again that cancel culture and that whole movement is dying. Culture is slowly shifting, and history is already beginning to show that the witch trials set against JK are proving to be over and wrong. And now it seems like no other vocal, influential townspeople want to be caught still on the side calling for her to burn.